Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather, and it's nice to see you on this Monday. I hope you are doing well. We're going to get right into the potential for tropical development along the United States East Coast, then dig into the tropical situation across the Caribbean and the Atlantic Basin as well. You got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. First headline of the video, you can see a cold front moving off of the United States East Coast, a broad area of low pressure associated with it, convection in the form of showers and thunderstorms, and a yellow area, a lemon, from the National Hurricane Center. Now, earlier last week and over the weekend, this was a 20% chance of development with this area. It's now down to a 10% chance. We are likely to not have tropical development with this region along the Gulf Stream off the east coast of the United States. That being said, there's likely to still be some impacts in the form of some kicked up surf and sea conditions and potentially some heavier rain and flooding issues as this broad system works its way back west towards the Carolina, Georgia, and North Florida coastlines. It's still not out of the question of development, but there's a lot of drier air that's also moving back into this. I can show you on that water vapor imagery so you can see the green along our elongated front, and again, that broad mid-level low, but there's a lot of drier air surrounding this system. So the Hurricane Center feels, and the models have also kind of borne out the fact that this is likely not to develop into something truly tropical, although of course I'll continue to monitor the situation for you guys. Now look, along this boundary, and as this system retrogrades back towards the west, towards places like Myrtle Beach and Savannah and Jacksonville, Florida, heavy downpours and thunderstorms are likely to continue to develop for the remainder of the week, at least until about Thursday. I can show you right now on the European model ensemble products that we don't really have much development here. Again, you can see this loop taking you out through Friday, and it's a very weak system. We don't even really get a true low-level center. Now, there is some broad spin associated with this, and that is what the models are picking up on. Even the Google DeepMind model is absolutely not showing any development out of their members as well. I mean, this is about the best game in town model-wise from the European Ensemble. The European AI version, the GFS AI version does not have any development. So I'm not expecting it. And really at any point in time, the Hurricane Center could even let this 10% chance go away. But again, it's low, but it's not zero. But there'll continue to be some impacts off the United States East Coast with additional rain and flooding threats regardless. And I'll cover more on that coming up here a little bit later into the video. Let's move on with what's happening in the Caribbean right now, because the United States coast is seeing some gusty winds. The Caribbean is getting some gusty winds as well in association with a tropical wave that is moving through the eastern Caribbean. Now, the best thunderstorms at this point in time are north of places like Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and east of Turks and Caicos, but some of that moisture is lining up over those islands, and you can see that. Here is that tropical wave with that trough in the dash line north of the islands back into the western Atlantic Basin. You're going to have some really strong winds along the front, by the way, east of Bermuda. A second tropical wave is trying to dig into the Windward Islands, and additional tropical waves are back out into the Atlantic Basin at this point in time. But thunderstorms are beginning to develop over these islands. We do have some flood issues, especially in the Dominican Republic in association with that. Some spots get more than 4 inches of rain today, and you'll see that information at the bottom of your screen. Thunderstorms at the hour really beginning to fire up over interior and north central sections of Puerto Rico. I can show you guys the live radar there. Let me bring that on for you guys. This is going to be the live radar out of Puerto Rico, and I'll wipe off the satellite data. First of all, I want you to notice the amount of lightning strikes in the area here, Vega Baja included, down towards the Coamo area, east of Arecibo, west of San Juan. You have 500 lightning strikes here in the past 15 minutes. So it's an extremely aggressive development of these storms that could produce some locally heavy downpours, and there's not a lot of quick movement with this activity. So localized flooding is possible in portions of Puerto Rico today and the eastern and central sides of the Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico radar showing you some of those thunderstorms developing just inland from places like La Romana and San Pedro de Macorís, and additional heavy rain and flash flooding are likely within some of this activity as well. Back over to the enhanced satellite imagery, watch the thunderstorms just continue to develop. Now, They're mainly on the eastern tip of the island right now, but additional thunderstorms are likely to build west. You can see some of that isolated activity in the higher elevations right now, and additional thunderstorms will lead to more flooding through a good portion of the Dominican Republic for today. Gusty winds are likely to continue with this. Scattered thunderstorms developing at the hour near St. Thomas, Culebra, Vieques, St. Croix, St. John could get included within this. The axis of tropical moisture is moving off towards the west, so as we go through the afternoon hours, the air is likely to dry out a little bit with just some passing showers for the rest of the Lesser Antilles, including the Anguilla area, St. Martin, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbuda, Antigua, St. Bart's, and Montserrat. Nice little fresh wind from time to time there. You can see the forecast in Antigua and Barbuda rolling across the bottom of your screen. We're going to have tropical moisture in and out of the area the next 5 days, so rain chances are really going to be fluctuating here. And even if you do have a high chance for rain, it doesn't necessarily mean a lot of rain. These could be brisk, brief passing showers, maybe only producing a few millimeters of rain in some areas, despite the fact that the rain chance in your island might be more than 50%. Guadeloupe, passing showers. Same thing for Dominica with a bit of a breeze. Right now, we don't really have a lot of marine issues in this area. There are some general swell advisories for places like Barbados, back down towards the Grenadines. Sorry for a little bit of that flare up there of our satellite imagery, but you can clearly see on this high-res visible satellite imagery the fast-moving showers. Now, we get down to that axis of next tropical wave down here, all right? This is our area that's going to see better rain chances for the rest of this Monday afternoon. It's going to be places like Trinidad and Tobago, including Port of Spain. As the first line of showers and storms rolled across the island earlier today, you can see both islands picked up more than a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust, and that moisture continuing to build, especially over Trinidad, but Tobago getting some good shower activity too. So locally heavy downpours. If you guys live in TNT, let me know if you've had any of that heavier rain. Some of this could drift towards the Grenadines, Grenada, Nueva Esparta as well. So that's the next axis of tropical moisture. Things are getting a little bit more active. Again, it's not organized tropical activity, my friends, but it is more tropical moisture coming back into our forecast here as we head towards early July. Breezy afternoon across the ABC Islands, Willemstad, Curacao in at about 30-mile-an-hour winds. Things on our western sides, for the most part, are a little bit quieter. More isolated, localized showers and storms for today. A couple are going to be developing over Jamaica. We've got the large wave and strong wind advisory still in effect for the near shore and offshore waters of the southern coast. Again, that information at the bottom of your screen. You see the small craft exercise caution right now for Aruba. So all of your watches and warnings and your 5-day forecast and your marine advisories are down at the bottom of your screen. I hope you're getting something out of this video. If you do so, thanks for hitting that like button for me. Just a little bit of scattered rain and storms today. Not as much flooding threat on this Monday for Panama and Costa Rica. Scattered showers over portions of Belize and Guatemala and Honduras. Temperatures are beginning to climb as well. These are your temperatures at the hour in Fahrenheit. A lot of areas, if we're not getting a thunderstorm, we're going to get well into the low to mid 90s Fahrenheit. Again, Celsius temperatures 32, 33, 34 degrees, just depending on location, and a very hot day across most of Quintana Roo as well. Few thunderstorms are likely over the western sides of Cuba. You can clearly see some moisture is beginning to bubble up with a very broad, weak mid-level low that is likely to bring a few thunderstorms today to our northern and western sides of the Bahamas. Right now, thunderstorms developing off the tip of Andros towards New Providence. Going to try and make a run towards Bimini and the middle and upper Keys, including Key Largo, back up towards Homestead and Miami. Can't rule out a couple of thunderstorms for places like the Abacos, Grand Bahama, and Walker's Key a little bit later on. So that leads us to our next weather headline for today, and that's just the tropics are more active. Again, we have our 10% chance here. We have our tropical axis and our wave moving through the eastern Caribbean, and additional tropical waves are located in the Atlantic Basin. Now, they are a little bit better organized. They're still fairly low in latitude, and we're still not to the heart of the season where the tropical waves coming off the West African coast really can pack a punch. But it is a sign that things are beginning to evolve, and better rain and more organized storm chances are likely back into the forecast for us here as we move into the early part of July. As we move into the forecast part of this video, guys, so hit the wrong button for you real quick. Let me jump back out to the broad view. This is the button I wanted to hit. If you wouldn't mind taking a quick second, subscribing to the channel. Please tell your family and friends Meteo Mundo is back with an all-new presentation. If you're enjoying that, let me know in the comments section below. And again, keep an eye out for our marine forecast now. Over 25 areas, major marine import, cruise ports, harbors, fishing areas of interest, your tidal information, your max wave heights, water temperatures now. We're getting to that 80-degree Fahrenheit mark in a lot of locations. Okay, moving on with our headlines. What is next across your area? Well, obviously in the short term, I'm going to be keeping a really close eye on what's happening here just off of the United States East Coast for the tropical development. Elsewhere, we'll pull up our rain model and we'll go on with that, and we'll take a look at where I expect additional active weather. Now, last week, we were kind of caught up with a lot of Saharan air. There's still some of that into play, still some drier air in here, but tropical moisture is becoming a little bit more prominent, especially back into our southern latitudes, including the Windward Islands. So Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, TNT, Nueva Esparta, all with higher rain chances coming up. We're going to still get our brisk easterlies. The trade winds are still quite strong. It's very inherent in an El Nino to have strong shear and low-level winds that are quite brisk across the Caribbean and the Western Atlantic, and that is all playing out. But that is going to provide more moisture for these areas. You get up towards Martinique and Dominica, it's scattered rain. I'm expecting the rain chances to, again, be back and forth through the week for the rest of the Leeward Islands. Again, the opportunity for Antigua and Barbuda and Anguilla to catch some showers, but I'm not expecting a lot of heavy rainfall out of this. The best opportunity for rain for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands occurring today as far as amounts go. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a couple of days this week where rain chances are high, but I think the overall moisture content and quality will be dropping a bit. That would be good news for the Dominican Republic in particular. This is an area that has been plagued by some flooding over the last week. Additional heavy rain is likely in some spots. Again, higher elevation rain leads to low-level flooding in a hurry and flash flooding, so make sure you keep weather aware in those areas. Not expecting a lot of rain in the short term for the southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, including Grand Turk. More localized thunderstorms on a daily basis for places like Cuba. Isolated rain trying to redevelop across Jamaica. I hope my friends in Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, Montego Bay, Negril, back down towards Mandeville and Maypen, especially along the coastal areas, catch a few showers. Still could be some locally heavy downpours, but not a lot of spots are expected to get big bursts of rain over the week ahead. And the large wave and strong wind advisory again continues for the southern nearshore and offshore waters. Central American gyre will still play a factor in what's happening here in Panama and Costa Rica. The models have backed down a little bit in potential tropical development in the eastern Pacific. Now look, we could still have some development by the end of the week along this axis, and there is a new invest out here. This is Invest 95E. That's the sixth invest. Start at 90. We're already up to 95E in the East Pacific. And you can see that the model tries to elongate this system as it actually lifts up a little bit to the north, but potentially not really becoming much. It's a red area. It's likely to at least briefly become a named storm. So I'll be monitoring that situation for you guys. Elsewhere, again, when we look at the rainfall here, let me bring on, by the way, the model timeline so you guys can see this. Just taking you out the rest of the week as we get towards the 4th of July weekend here in the United States. Obviously, a lot of folks interested in what's going to be happening with this system. I do think that we will know what happens before the 4th of July. However, rich moisture coming back into play could spell some better rain chances, but you notice that it really is fighting some drier air. So it could be more about the marine issues than the appreciably heavy rainfall, but it is a question in the models right now. The one consensus is more than likely it's not going to become a true tropical system. Scattered showers and thunderstorms likely for portions of the northern Bahamas, but again, a little bit quieter from places like Exuma and Cat Island to the south. When we take a look at the rainfall totals over the next 5 days, again, here is our frontal boundary stalling out, but you notice that the European model has the better rain chances east of that center of circulation. Bermuda could potentially be included in that. Not as much rain as it builds towards the west. There's your higher totals for Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, back down towards the Windward Islands, and some spotted heavier rain, Quintana Roo and Central America. Keep an eye out on the wave heights across the Caribbean for the days to come. It's not too bad right now on the windward side of the Lesser Antilles. Looking pretty good in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico as well. Bahamas really have enjoyed some nice boating conditions. It's been excruciatingly hot. Rip currents are on the weaker side though, but again, elevated sea conditions for the ABC Islands, southern coastlines of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, including Lacaille, and again, continuing for South Jamaica, pushing some of that stronger wave action back into portions of Central America as well. So that's what's on the horizon for us here with our rain outlook. I am expecting there to be some heavier activity when we take a look again at the models, just showing you from that center east towards Bermuda. If you do live in Florida and the northern Bahamas, we could have some good enhanced sea breeze interaction storms, and anywhere from the Orlando area back down south could get multiple rounds of heavy rain in the days ahead. It's scattered rain for our western areas, and again, you can see the legend above. You got to get to the grays to get a couple of inches of rain to really be of note here. Again, not expecting much of that over Jamaica. Here's the problem across portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, although the model here has a little bit more on the Haitian side by the end. And although there are pockets of heavier rain across Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, it's not going to be as much later in the week. It's really more confined to the Windward Islands, especially TNT, for multiple days where we could have some heavy rainfall leading to a few inches overall. Friends, I am out of time. Thank you for making Meteo Mundo a part of your daily routine. Let me know in the comment section below if you do have a question about the forecast. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back tomorrow with the latest across the Caribbean and the Bahamas and anything tropically in the Atlantic. Until then, my friends, take care.